In this video, I'll be explaining why Very Good Foods could be a multi-bagger stock waiting to happen. In this video, we're going to tackle who is the Very Good Foods company, stock ticker VRYYF, and my coverage of them very briefly, recent news and why it matters. There's some big news that came out this week and why that news matters, and why I believe the stock could 4x in the next 12 to 18 months, though definitely carries some risk as well, and we're going to talk about that. So let's dive into it. If you're new to the channel, welcome here to the Paper Bag Investor, where we're always looking for the next multi-bagger investment for your portfolio. We're looking for those high conviction companies that you can really look at a number of different angles and have high conviction behind, and then because of that high conviction, you can ideally put a large chunk of your portfolio into them and do exceptionally well over time. Don't take my advice though in any of my videos. This is not personal financial advice for you, but I have been investing since about 2009 with about a 30% compound annual growth rate over that time, which I hope to continue to do over the next decade, and I hope to help you achieve similar or even better returns as well. So make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that whatever the YouTube algorithm does, you can be notified of my latest content. And please, please, please destroy that like button for me. Really would appreciate that. So who is the Very Good Foods company? Okay, this is a company I have a small position in and have covered in the past. They make plant-based meats, and Very Good Foods is basically positioning itself as a more natural and gourmet Beyond Meat alternative. They also have a fairly diverse product lineup. I visited their facility in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada last October, and my own experience eating the product, trying a few of their products, was okay. I mean, I'm not a vegan eater. I would much rather eat regular, real meat, but I could see, compared to other plant-based meat sort of options that are out there, this could be a great option for people that are looking for that, which is going to be a growing segment of people. The product reviews for their products, for the most part, have been excellent, which is something I did a video on previously. So if you want to see the link for that video, I will link it here up on the screen. They also sell their products online direct to consumers, so you can literally buy it right from them through the mail. But we'll be doing more and more wholesale sales through various different retail streams. So you might be wondering, what was the recent news and why does it matter? So here's a problem they've had, Very Good Foods. They've been manufacturing constrained for quite some time. I mean, I'm talking severely constrained, because they've only had one little facility in Victoria, BC, Canada that I visited, but they've been building a large facility in Vancouver called the Rupert facility, which is planned to do a massive increase in product. I tweeted about this update on the increase in product just the other day. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at paperbaginvest. Feel free to follow me there for all the latest tweets. But they said in this update, the Rupert facility in Vancouver is now producing 4 times the daily production volume of the company's Victoria facility. Then further down it said line 1, there's going to be 2 lines in this facility. It said line 1 will be producing an average of 13,000 pounds per day starting in August. And then they said, if you further on in the next section here, they said they expect line 1 to ramp up to 40,000 pounds per day on average starting in Q4 2021, and then gradually increasing to an average of 60,000 pounds per day in early Q1 2022. This additional capacity will support the increasing demand for Very's Good products, which have an average sale of $14 Canadian online e-commerce and $7 Canadian wholesale. Then I also want to highlight a message from the CEO. He said the Rupert facility is ramping up lockstep with the timing of our entry into U.S. retail stores. So that's great news, with huge expansion coming from this Rupert facility from what they have had available at the Victoria facility. But on top of that, they also are planning in the next sort of couple years, ramping up another facility in California that will be even bigger. And I want to show you guys a chart here of their strategic production capacity ramp. So right now they have this Fairview facility and the Victoria facility, which this one's doing about 1.3 million pounds a year at most for capacity, and this one's about 500,000 pounds, so fairly small. And then the Rupert facility, what I'm talking about is what the news was this week. It's going to have 2 lines and going to do much more product, about 37 million pounds per year of capacity. And then this Patterson facility that will be coming online in the next few years out of California, it plans to do about 98 million pounds per year of capacity. So a huge facility and massive increase in product coming in the next few years. So this news update on the Rupert facility is really important because they've had these large-scale ambitious plans for a while, but I've really seen two main risks all along with Very Good Foods. So risks, you say, the first risk that they've always had and still have to some degree is execution risk. So they've been selling maybe 1 million pounds of product a year, but they want to scale to 40 million pounds a year and then to like 100 and some million pounds a year. Can they actually execute and scale up that massive increase in production? And then the next risk is market acceptance at scale. You know, it's one thing to sell a niche product at 1 million pounds a year and people love the product. It's harder to sell 100 million pounds a year and have that product sell really well and people love it. So that's really still to be determined. That risk is still there until they actually scale up to that size to see will it actually sell well through their wholesale distributors at that scale. But the fact that they have one line running at the Rupert facility right now and will right away be doing about 13,000 pounds a day in August is a great sign for me of execution and really lowers that execution risk quite a bit. As well, if they can get up to 40,000 pounds a day starting in October, Q4, to me that is huge. Because if you think about it, 40,000 pounds a day times by 365 days a year, times by, say they do $5 wholesale per pound. Right now it's about $7 Canadian. So if we go to $5 wholesale per pound, that works out to about $73 million in annualized sales from 40,000 pounds a day, just from that Rupert facility. 73 million in sales, okay? And if they get to 60,000 pounds a week in 2022, which is their plan, what they're forecasting, that translates to 60,000 pounds a day times by 365 days a year, $5 wholesale per pound. That works out to about $110 million US dollars in annualized sales next year. Somewhere could be north of that $100 million mark. So what is going to happen to the stock if they execute on this plan and if they ramp up to that kind of sales and sell that kind of volume of product? What's going to happen? So looking at the graph for Very Good Foods, it has trended down for several months, this sort of trending down of the company, the price here of the stock. That could be maybe just because people got way too hyped about it back here earlier on. And it also could be just because growth stocks in general over the last several months have been hit hard. It's probably a combination of those two things, too much hype and just growth stocks declining. But if you look at a larger company that's also in a similar niche, such as Beyond Meat, and you look at their price to sales ratio for Beyond Meat, they're at about an 18 multiple of price to sales. Now, jumping back to Very, if we assume the market gives a company like Very a price to sales ratio of maybe 10, less generous than Beyond Meat, that would translate to, if you do the math, 110 million US dollars in sales times by a 10 price to sales ratio of, say, of next year. That would be a $1.1 billion market cap. The current market cap for Very Good Foods is about 263 million US dollars, and this is 1.1 billion US dollars. So 1.1 divided by 263 million would be a 4.2x increase over the next 12 to 18 months, kind of, if they execute on that timeline and if the market sees that. And that, my friends, is what we call a multi-bagger. Now, before you'd say, take all my money now, the same risks are there. I want to remind you, number one, they still need to execute towards that. They're not even doing 40,000 pounds a week. They're not even doing 20,000 pounds a day. Sorry, they're not even doing 40,000 pounds a day. They're not even doing 20,000 pounds a day. They're doing like 14,000 pounds a day starting in August. So they still have to ramp up to that 40,000, that 60,000 and really produce. And then they still have to really nail all their distribution channels that they have been building. I know have been really focusing on that, but they still need to be able to sell this product at scale. But I think the execution risk is significantly smaller given the recent update that came out this week. So for me, it's worth being in my portfolio, and I'm probably going to be adding to my small position now in the next, month or so, whenever I can, adding to the stock, because I really think there's quite a bit of upside in the next 12 to 18 months. What do you think? I'd love to hear what you think. Are you buying Very stock? Let us know in the comments down below. Also, if you got value out of this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Do me a favor, smash the like button. If you are into Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter at paperbaginvest. And if you like coffee, I do love coffee myself. Make sure you join my Patreon community. I'll link it down below in the description. Buy me a coffee by joining my community on Patreon now. And as a community grows, there's going to be a lot of great discussion there as we find the best investments possible. I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, it's in the bag. Cheers.